They ask me where I've been hiding to, if I really even care about this channel or the people that watch. They ask me how come I don't upload more, how come I just left everybody behind. It doesn't get any easier. But fuck those people. What's going on, everybody? It's me, Gimma153. I'm back. Sorry that I've been gone for a while. If you can't already tell by what's above me here, I'm making a little video for Dark Souls 3, specifically a boss ranking video. Now, I know there's been a lot of those going around on the internet lately, but I wanted to make my own list just because I've already completed the game with 3 characters and different styles of play changed how difficult the bosses were, and so I thought it'd be cool to just compile a list of which ones I thought were my favorites. This list is basically, it's based off of the difficulty of the bosses and the arenas and the style of them, not to mention like movesets, stuff like that. So keep in mind my list is going to be different than tons of other people. You can go watch videos all over YouTube covering this topic, but I thought I'd just give my opinion before the new DLC comes out and before they add some new bosses into the mix. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and kick things off here with number 19, the Deacons of the Deep. Now, I think this boss is at everybody's lowest point in their playthroughs, and that's mainly because I didn't find them that exciting. They reminded me a lot of that boss in Bloodborne, the Celestial Emissary, and it's just another one of those bosses where you gotta find the main one that's you have to deal damage to over time, and it swaps from person to person, so you gotta just find wherever the deacon that's glowing with like that red residue is, and just start smacking the shit out of it. That's literally all that boss is. Not to mention, just the arena that you fight in is super boring. It's all stone. There's nothing to it really except for Aldrich's tomb at the very back of it. That's it. So overall, just not very exciting. I died to him 0 times, if that's any significance. I have it written down here too, how many times I died to each boss, but this list isn't going to be going exactly off of how many deaths I've had, even though there's quite a few. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and move on to number 18, which is the Curse-Rotted Greatwood. Now, again, died to this boss 0 times on my first run. By the way, all these bosses are based off of my very first run, and I died to it in 0 times. The arena was okay. I just felt like it was a little boring when it slammed its ass onto the ground and you go down into the Pit of Hollows. Now, another big thing I have with this boss that's just disgusting to fight, honestly. Not much of a challenge, but it has this pus-filled orbs on it that you have to smack until it dies, and you keep rinsing and repeating, and then once you're in the Pit of Hollows, it only gets more disgusting with that giant hand coming out of its, whatever you want to call that, ball sack, sudge slack, whatever you want to call that. Point is, it's just disgusting overall. I didn't have too much fun fighting it, and I defeated it first try overall on my first character. Not too enjoyable, that's all I'm going to say. But overall, like I said, the arena wasn't bad up until you got slammed into the Pit of Hollows, and that was kind of boring, if you ask me. So next up on my list, we have number 17, the Ancient Wyvern, or Wyvern, however you say it. I will say I loved the arena that you're fighting in. Overall, Archdragon Peach. Yeah, I got a peach when I went to go fight that dragon. No, Archdragon Peak is one of my favorite areas to go to, and I love the fact that they made that like a secret area that you had to learn a certain gesture to get there. So that was very interesting. The boss, though, however, was severely lacking. I love how they tried to go back and make like a decent dragon boss, but just time after time, they still disappoint in the fact that I didn't find it much of a challenge. I will admit, I died to this boss once. Only once, and that was because I misjudged my jump going for the one-hit kill, and I ended up dying from fall damage. It's the only time I died to that boss, and I'm not happy because of how easy it is. I will say it's a little difficult to get to the point where you have to hit the dragon in one hit, just because of how many enemies there are on the way up to that point. So I'll give him a little bit of credit there. He has like a little obstacle course that you got to go through to get to him. But still, overall, you know, the only thing that's going for it really is the arena. I think it was pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and move right along here to number 16, Yorm the Giant. Overall, decent boss. I like the idea of him. I wish that there was a bit more difficulty to him, because as soon as you step to the back of the arena, you get the Storm Ruler, which is a great flashback from Demon's Souls. Love that. And I don't know, I wanted him to be tougher. I do love the arena, the fact that it's like this old ancient treasure room in the profaned capital. I love seeing all the goblets, plates, everything like that, gold, silver, everything all over the arena, which is cool. And he's sitting on that big throne, all high and mighty with that big great axe, and then you just hit him 5 times with the Storm Ruler, and he goes down. Didn't really like it too much. Didn't die to him at all. I will admit, getting the Storm Ruler, he started getting pretty close to me. I got a little anxious, and I boned out of there, so I guess if you want to say that took me 2 tries, yeah, okay, it took me 2 tries, but after getting the Storm Ruler, yeah, it's just too easy of a fight. Now, he probably would have ranked higher if you don't use the Storm Ruler, yeah, then he'd be a pretty good challenge, but if you do what I did and you just whack him a couple times with that, yeah, he's gone. So we're going to move along here to number 14, the Crystal Sage. Overall, I liked the Farron Forest area. Overall, it was nice. I like how it's all overgrown in some buildings and how they're all dilapidated, all just decaying or all broken stone, everything like that. I thought that was cool. So I like the arena quite a bit. I like how there's different spots for when it splits into clones. How there's always like a good spot for it to go. So I do like that it's mapped out pretty nicely, and it's kind of tight too once you start getting to the halfway mark of that fight. I died to this boss about 2 times, and that was because starting off I didn't know what I was doing, and the magic attacks, while they're very slow and easy to dodge, sometimes I just miscalculated once I got to that halfway stage, and I just got bombarded by spells. So it was a hard time trying to prioritize how I was going to attack. And the boss itself isn't much of a challenge now, because I know what I'm doing, but yeah, first playthrough definitely got me a couple times, I'm going to admit. And overall, decent boss, I'd say. You run into another one at the library, which I thought was kind of cool, like a little throwback, like, oh, okay, I'm going to kick your ass for sure this time. So that was good. I got like a little sweet revenge from that. Moving on, we have number 13, Ludix Gundyr, or Eudix Gundyr. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I have it written down over here. I have my entire list sitting right here, so that way I can remember where I had these people. I died to him 3 times at the very beginning of the game, and that's only because it's been forever since I played a Souls game. I didn't get to play Bloodborne, so I severely missed out on that. And yeah, overall, not a challenging boss now, but yeah, it took me 3 tries starting off, or I guess technically 4, starting off just because I was trying to get back into the swing of things, and his attack patterns vary at times, and I had to get used to that. Dark Souls 3 is way more precise in terms of like hitboxes and swings, everything like that. So difficult for starting off. Obviously, it's a good challenge for a beginning game. That, I just like the area that you fight him in. How it has like a little ring of water going around it, and when you first find him, he's kneeled over with a sword in his heart, and you gotta pull it out. I love the concept, and I like the arena, so overall it evens out. I think he deserves the number 13 spot because he isn't that difficult, but, you know, for a beginning boss, not too bad. So I'm gonna actually turn this down a little bit here. That way y'all can hear me. So for number 12, I have Vort of the Boreal Valley. The reason why I ranked him close to the middle, definitely because I like the look of him. He reminds me of something from what I've seen of the game, from Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2, kind of combined, which I like the idea of that. Not terrible. First playthrough, I died to him 3 times. So he provided a bit of a challenge. That's also because, like I said, I haven't played a Souls game in a long time. I accidentally missed out on Dark Souls 2. Well, from what I heard, it's not much of an accident if you don't play it, but if you're a fan about the lore, I guess you have to. But, yeah, he proved to be a bit of a challenge, more along the lines during that halfway mark. Like, sometimes I would get greedy trying to get under him to attack, and, yeah, he'd smack me around quite a bit. So, that and Frostbite, I got that a lot too. So, I got a little greedy fighting him sometimes, and that caused me to die about 3 times. So, the arena that you're in, I kind of like. I don't like how there's so much limited space. It's very much just a long rectangle, but there's no width. It's all length. So, I don't really like that unless you were rarely going to fight him, just like that chariot from what I saw in Dark Souls 2. There's like a horse-drawn chariot that you get to fight. and that's very much linear. So if it was something similar to that, then I guess I'd be okay, but I don't know, definitely not too challenging unless you're going to get greedy with it like I did. So moving on to number 11, we have Osiris, the Consumed King. So I love the arena for this boss, absolutely. I love how it's just this old looking temple, and how when you enter, just it's all like overgrown, stones collapsed everywhere, and you see this old consumed king grieving over the loss of his son Ocelot, or wherever the heck he went. That's one thing why he's ranked number 11, is because I don't like how he just keeps talking during your fight with him. It just feels really anticlimactic to me, and overall it just proved to be annoying. It was just one of those things where I just kept asking myself, when's he going to die already? During the halfway mark, he gets a little bit more challenging, I'll say. He gets very aggressive, and on my first playthrough, that's where I died to him the one time. I only died to him once, but that was the one time is when I accidentally didn't compensate enough for how much damage he could deal, and I didn't think ahead, so died to him once. Getting to him, I had a harder time because I very much like to kill all the enemies in the way, and in doing that, I ran out of flasks pretty quickly. So when I got to him, I only had like 5 left, and I used them all before that halfway mark. And that's only because, like I said, I get greedy. Sometimes that's my playstyle. I like to go in, deal as much damage as I can, and then try to back off. Sometimes that doesn't work so well. So that's why he's number 11. Not too difficult, but definitely a good challenge. And number 10 is the exact same thing with the old Demon King. So picked him because I loved his arena, how you see all the old Asylum demons from Dark Souls 1 and Stray demons on there. And overall, just it was fun. Getting to fight this giant fiery rock monster too was very cool. I also ranked him number 10 because his attack patterns are so varying. He has so many of them. He can send in meteor strikes. He can send in fire pulses to come at you, to come against you. He has so many varying mace attacks that it's ridiculous, not to mention that fire blast that he does. I will admit I died to this guy. Actually, this isn't even much of an admission. On my first playthrough, I died to him once, and that's only because I went back and I fought him after I beat the Soul of Cinder, so I was pretty spec'd on my first playthrough, and I went in there, I died to him once just because of that meteor attack. I didn't anticipate enough, and I know that's going to sound stupid. I was being stupid when fighting him, and it ended up leading to my death, not to mention the fact that, you know, I was running low on Estus again too, but I thought I could handle it. I saw a couple of videos about him, and I thought, okay, this is pretty easy. So I went in there, I got a little cocky, I died to him once. Overall, the arena, though, is beautiful. I love the whole fiery lava lake area that he's found in. The Molten Lake, I think is what it's called, or the Smoldering Lake. And yeah, I loved that area. I loved how you get all the Asylum demons on there, and just the cool like ceiling too above him. If you get the chance to look up, it's beautiful, if you ask me. I love the way that area looks that he's in. Moving on to number 9, we're going to go to Champion Gundyr. Now, mainly the arena, it's about ranked with Eudix Gundyr at 13, but I loved this fight because it was difficult for me. I died to him 3 times, but his difficulty in terms of when he gets buffed up at that halfway mark is just remarkable. Like, good lord, that guy would make a very good running back for the NFL, maybe a tight end, I don't know. But the fact of how he charges at you with that spear at the halfway point and does like a 6-hit combo is amazing. It does so much damage, and it definitely proved to be a real challenge when I fought him originally. Yeah, after 3 deaths, I summoned a Phantom to come help me out, which proved to be very handy, and I'm glad I did too, because I would not have been able to beat him without that Phantom. So if you're going to say I cheated too in the comments, that's fine. I summoned Phantoms for a couple of these guys after a certain point, and with this guy, no exception. I thought to myself, okay, after a lot of these bosses that I fought and how this is going, I need to get some help, which is why these top bosses are going to be pretty funny to talk about, actually. So number 8, we have Aldrich, and here's why I put him at number 9, not like a little bit higher up, is because I hated Anne Orlando, and the fact that there was all those black sludgy things everywhere, Deacon shooting fireballs at you everywhere, and then that big black hairy arachnid thing that comes out of the ceiling. Yeah, pain in the neck. Still a very beautiful area, I'm not gonna lie. Great flashback from Dark Souls 1. Makes me want to go back and play that again. A little sad finding the giant dead and picking up his coal to go take it over to the smith, Andre. But it was just a pain in the ass to get to him. I used my flasks poorly, and I died to him about 6 times because of his arrow attack. And when he gets cindered, he has like that fire trail that falls after him, and that did some damage to me. But after 7 tries, finally got him on my first playthrough, and yeah, so he proved to be quite a challenge for one of the last Lords of Cinder that you get to fight. And his arena is pretty nice. I didn't like the floor, how it was like all black and sludgy, but I did like the fact that it was like his old bed chamber, and you see like the statue of Gwyn in the back. And yeah, I love like all the old pillars and just how that building looks now as opposed to when you saw it in Dark Souls 1. I just like the way it looks. But I hate the enemies in there, absolutely, and I hate having to see that giant dead. So that's why I put him at about 8. Pretty fair, I'd say. So it was more of a challenge than the stadium, but I still liked it. So this is where it's going to start getting more to difficulty, not so much rooms that you fight him in. Although some of these are very cool, and I'll still mention that. So number 7, we have the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Now, on my first playthrough, I died to this thing 0 times. I got lucky. So I'm very blessed to say that on my first playthrough. I started Journey 2, and I'm fighting that thing right now. So far, I died to it about 13 times. I did not even know that the Dancer was this tough after my first playthrough. I just thought that it was going to be an easy boss, but boy was I wrong. So, for starters, this thing has this grab attack that you already know what happens. As soon as it grabs you, it like tosses you into the air, it stabs you, and plunges you into the ground with like a big fiery ball that just obliterates your health. So that's one thing that I don't like. Sometimes I'll dodge it at the right time, but it'll still grab onto me, so that thing does a lot of damage. Secondly is just when it pulls out its 2 swords, it is just, the attack pattern is so unpredictable. You don't know how fast or slow the attacks are going to go. Sometimes you can dodge one sword slice, but then the other one comes at you too quick and you can't dodge that one. So you have to deal with that. And then overall, just very challenging. Now, I'm very sad that I underestimated it on my first playthrough, and I thought that it was going to be very easy. It's not. But, yeah. I do like how you get to fight it in the church, too, right by Vort. I thought that was a very good choice for a battle. Very wide open, which I love. And I love also how it gets set on fire when the Dancer swings its sword wildly at the curtains, at the wood, everything like that. That's just, it was nice. It added like a feeling of intensity to the fight. So overall, about that boss, I'd say it's pretty difficult, and the arena was fair. So the only reason why it's ranked so low in the top 10, or I'm sorry, in the top 7, I should say, why it's at the bottom, is just because of the fact that I beat it on my first try, and yeah, that's about it. I think it just mainly had to do with luck that time. But because of that, I put it at 7. I thought that was pretty fair because now I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it immensely. My second playthrough, I died to it like 5 times. But still, it's proving to be a challenge. At number 6, we have the Dragon Slayer armor. I'm going to say this right off the bat. First thing ever, pain in the ass. 25 deaths plus. Had to have been. Easy. You want to know why? It's because of those stupid fucking shield bashes, how he can bust down the sides of that bridge and then knock you off of it. That had to be at least 15 of my deaths is because of poorly timed rolls, and then he swings at me, and I accidentally either roll off the bridge because I didn't see it coming and I was too nervous, or because he charges up a fight for it and just completely fucked me over. Now, the bridge, I love. It's very long, good enough for a sword versus axe fight. Vort's was a bit different. That's why I didn't like his stadium. But for the Dragon Slayer armor, it just felt right. And then not to mention, he looked just like Ornstein. I loved that, like the armor concept. It looked great. But back to the arena. I do like the layout of it. I like how it's just an old stone bridge. Like, you have to get past this guy to get to the library. It's like a traditional, you ain't getting nowhere unless you get past me. Now, a lot of people would argue that's every boss, but the way that this one feels is definitely more standoffish. Like, two great knights are approaching each other, about to have the clash of the century, and the smaller guy gets his shit kicked in 25 plus times. Overall, like, he was difficult for me on my first playthrough because his attack patterns varied. I could dodge his axe very easily. That's easy to do. His shield, however, that varies for me sometimes. Sometimes I'll dodge the first hit, but then he'll swing around and hit me with the second, and I didn't see that one coming. And then other than that, when he gets to that halfway point, and he starts like carrying the axe with two hands, yeah, that is where things started getting a bit difficult. It was hard to analyze when the attack was going to hit at first, so either I'd miss roll sometimes or just slice right through me and kill me right there. I had to have lost at least like 80,000 souls to this guy. Easy. Maybe more than that, I don't know. But definitely proved to be quite a bit of a challenge. And with 25 plus deaths, that is a very easy claim to make. So we're going to move on to number 5 here, Lothric and Lorien, the twin princes. Died to him about 16 times. Proved to be a bit of a challenge, I'll say. It took me about 6 tries to get Lorien down to where Lothric would start piggybacking on him. And I do like how he teleports around Lothric's bedchamber. Speaking of which, I love that arena. Honestly, it's one of my favorite ones. You just see this old, I'm going to use the word again, dilapidated tower where Lothric is sleeping, waiting for you. Like, that's his bedchamber or his royal chamber. And I love how it's at the top of the castle. You get to like look down, see the different areas where you're at. You get to look down the stairs right by, and you see this big open battlefield, like of just all these hollow soldiers at his disposal. I loved everything about the arena there. The boss itself, yeah, once Lothric gets on Lorien's back, it's a very big dodge fest. You're dodging all the soul arrows and that big beam of light that he shoots at you on top of Lorien's greatsword swings and him teleporting everywhere. Very difficult on my first playthrough, and didn't ask for help with that fight. I didn't ask for help there. I did ask for help on, actually, I come to think of it, I haven't asked for help on a couple of these at the top 5. But, yeah, second playthrough, I beat him in 3 tries, and I did ask for help on that one, just because I wanted to be able to beat my friend's record on the game, and so I asked for help a couple of times. So moving on to number 4, we have the Soul of Cinder. Now a lot of people put him at like maybe 3 or even 2 on their lists, I noticed, but I put him at 4 mainly because I only died to him about 10 times. I will say, like, he was difficult, but I only died to him less because I was so used to the game at that point, and I kind of got better at analyzing his attack patterns, which I will say I did love the fact that he has 5 different weapons, I think it is. He has the greatsword, the lance, the staff, the scimitar, and then the sword. I thought that was great. So I like how he changed in between that, and then not to mention he can use pyromancy, so he can use the sunlight spear at you. Varying attacks for different styles. Amazing. Loved that. And then once you get him down the first time, you hear Gwyn's theme music play in the background when you're fighting him, when he's finally embered as his last chance to try and save the flame and keep it burning. It was just amazing. It gave me goosebumps for sure. And it's just a great fight while you're on this old battlefield, just swords everywhere, all this weird like husks coming out of the ground that you can go through. Just that place reeks of all the souls that have tried to rekindle the fire that were deemed worthy, and how many lives were lost trying to do that. It was just very bone chilling to me. Like, just talking about it, I'm starting to get goosebumps, but it's just very intense if you really think about it, and I love that about that fight. Personally, I loved it a lot. So that's why he's at number 4. Number 3, I really don't want to talk about. So I put at number 3 the Abyss Watchers. I died to these guys about 18 times. I'd say maybe a bit more. I can't remember exactly. A lot of these I remember. but the Abyss Watchers, it took me about 18, maybe 20 times. And let me just say, starting off, this game doesn't get that bad difficulty-wise. Once you start analyzing the bosses a bit better, the game doesn't get bad up until the Abyss Watchers. I chose to fight them before the Deacons and like get specced up enough to where I could do a lot of damage, and that was probably my mistake. So I go into this fight and I see these two Abyss Watchers fighting each other to the death, and I see the one kill his friend, turn around and do his little thing towards you. So I think, okay, this is going to be a great fight. I'm already excited. He doesn't look like he's going to be that bad. I get into the fight and he does his like big swing. It hits me. And so I think, okay, he does some pretty good damage and he has ranged attacks. No problem. These look telegraphed enough to where I can dodge them just fine. Then the second one showed up. At this point, I thought he was going to fight him. No, he came running at me. And after that, I was literally just running around the field. Then a third one showed up. I kid you not, I almost boned out of there at least 3 times because of A, I died before the third one emerged, or I saw it emerge and I died because I got scared. But when I saw the third one show up, I was almost done. Then I saw him charge at the second Abyss Watcher and he started fighting him, and I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. I can go fight the big boss while those two are fighting. No, as soon as I got over to the big boss, he fucked me while those two were fighting, and I gotta say, it proved to be quite a challenge. It took me about 16 of those tries to get him to the halfway point, and I thought, okay, I'm done. That was cool. And I saw the cinematic of him fall, and I thought to myself, like, yes, this is it. Then he got back up, and he was cindered. Scared me to death, A, and B, I never saw his cindered form before, so I died to him 2 more times because of his attack patterns. They're the exact same, I know, but the fire damage did way more to me than I thought it would, and I was out of flasks by that time. So on my 19th try, I found like a safe way to get to him and fight him. When I got to the actual fight itself, I waited until the third Abyss Watcher came up and fought the second one, then I fought the first one, and then I would just rinse and repeat. After I got into the second part, that's when I started using my Estus, being a little careful, and then I found out you can backstab him, and it made the game so much easier for me to fight him. So yeah, it took me about 19 tries to get him down. Very good challenge for new players, I'd say, and I felt extremely bad for being out of practice because I kept thinking this should have been way easier than it was. So that's why he's at the number 3 spot. That, and I just love the Abyss Watchers area. I mean, it's the last area in Farron that you get to go to, and you see all of the dead Abyss Watchers just collapsed after all the fights that have been wrought there, and it was definitely a cool little temple that you get to go into also. So I loved that arena too for that. So for number 2, we have Pontiff Sulyvahn. I'm sure at this point you all can guess who the number 1 spot is, but we're going to wait for that. Pontiff Sulyvahn, easily probably about the same as the Dragon Slayer armor, about like 20 plus deaths. Where do I start with this guy? The fact that he has the most unpredictable attack pattern I've ever seen in a Souls game is just beyond me. His unparalleled speed and aggression when you first fight him is amazing. Like, oh my gosh, I was lucky if I could maybe dodge 2 of his combos. I barely got any hits in, which was the bad thing. I maybe got him down to half health 2 times out of those 20 that I died. And that was just because of luck. Like, sometimes he was a little less aggressive. And I say a little, very, very lightly. Like, it had to be maybe 1 in 10 chance that he was a little bit easier. So I got to his halfway point to where he spawned his clone maybe twice. And then I kept dying from that, but I noticed that the clone keeps telegraphing his attacks, so it makes it a bit easier to dodge. You dodge the clone, you know what Pontiff is going to do. But overall, his swords just did an immense amount of damage to me, and it was, like I said, his just attack pattern was so fast, and it was so rapid. It was like almost so hard to get hit in, and he proves to be a very big challenge. Then I saw, if you Ember up in this fight, this is the only reason I beat him too in my first playthrough. I probably wouldn't have gotten through him until I kept grinding for souls and kept leveling up. It was then when I saw that you could summon Anri, you could summon the Irithyll Shade or whatever it's called, and then a Black Hand. So I summoned all 3 of those guys, and we went in and we tanked Pontiff. Easy. After that, it was easy. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. I didn't Ember for the other fights originally because I wanted to spare him, but at that point I thought, fuck it, I need him. So yeah, I wasted about 10 Embers on that guy after the halfway points, and then that last attempt with those 3 Phantoms really saved my ass. So overall, great challenge though. I play him now on my new characters, and I don't go in there unless I summon some people. Even then, I'm usually the only one that attacks, and then once I get low on health, I back off, let them attack, I heal, and then I go back in. So it works for that type of fight. That, and I just love that church that he's in. Like, oh my gosh, everything about Anor Londo and the Boreal Valley, I just love. It's such a beautiful area, and well, me being Catholic, I love seeing old churches that look like that and cathedrals that look like Anor Londo, and it was just beautiful. I loved every single bit of that area, and yeah, it proved to be a very wide space that you very much need for that fight. So overall, that's why he's my number 2 pick. Number 1, the Nameless King. Alright, let me just say one thing here. This boss I still haven't beat on any character. The difficulty of this boss is just... It's harder fighting this boss than it is for Donald Trump to answer a question in the debates. Either way, though, nothing is getting done with that boss. Nothing is getting done. And no matter what I try, I can't seem to get past that King of Storms phase. Honestly, I don't know how people do it. They make it look so easy on tutorials. I cannot do it. I've looked up tips and tricks. I still haven't beaten this boss, and I've died to him at least 30 times. On both my characters each, 30 times. Like, how? So, for one thing, he deals way too much damage. And I'm not saying he needs to be nerfed. I love a challenge. But this guy does a lot of damage. And I have my Estus maxed out with the shards and the bonfires kindled to the max. And he just depletes my Estus. I'm lucky if maybe I have 3 left by the time I finally down this dragon. I've only downed it maybe 5 times. That's it. Other than that, no, I haven't gotten it. So, his damage output, through the roof. His health pool, I admire. I wish I had that health pool. I probably wouldn't die so much in this game with that. And it's just impossible to get a good hit on that dragon, because it's like when you try to lock on, you have to hit that head. And then while you're locked on, you can't see what the king is doing. So if the king comes down and swipes you, you're not going to see it. I do not fight well if I'm not locked on. So this is a very difficult boss for me. Now, I know that it can be stunned, which is a very big thing. If you can get enough hits in with enough damage, yeah, sure. I use a broadsword, maxed out, and the dragon shield, the dragon crest shield. I don't use boss weapons or anything like that. I very much stick with making my weapons raw and then maxing them out. So I have the longsword and the broadsword. That's it. And they do about like 270 damage each. I know that there's pellets that you can use to make yourself resistant. I've tried them. It doesn't work. And I know there's also resins that you can use. Tried them. They don't do a lot of damage. Now, people might say that I need to use the boss weapons. I don't like to use them just because the requisites for them are so high. That's what I'm trying to fix right now on my Journey 2 player. I'm trying to respec him and get him like ready to use any boss weapon that I need to. I'm still using the broadsword. So I love the arena that you fight this guy in, though. After you ring the bell, how it's just Archdragon Peach. I said it again. Yeah, give me a damn peach. I'm hungry. Archdragon Peak turns into this big, cloudy, foggy area, and it's almost like you desecrated the area by ringing that bell. So I love how the arena looks, and I love how you can still see the statues and everything like that, and overall just this cool ancient temple. I love the feeling of that. It gives you a very big sense of openness for the Nameless King's fight, however it's not, which I like how it's misleading like that, ironically. And then overall, yeah, just difficulty of this boss. King of Storms phase is already murder. I know when you actually fight him, yeah, I'm still preparing my butt for that fight. Like, I'm buying the loot as we speak. It's getting shipped to my apartment, like, within the next week for this fight, because I know it's not going to be pleasant. And at this point, I'm ready to go in dry for this fight. It's that bad. But Definitely the hardest boss in the game. Definitely the coolest area in the game under the circumstances when you have to fight him. And overall, just I loved his lore too. If you don't know his lore, look it up. I encourage it. It's very cool. They said he's like the bastard son of Gwyn or something like that, hence why he's nameless. He wasn't claimed. Something like that along those lines. And I just thought that concept was very cool. So I can't wait to see what Ashes of Ariandel is going to bring to the mix. If they're bringing any bosses in there, I think they said maybe there's going to be 2, maybe 1. I don't know, but overall the area looks cool. I love snowy areas, and Anor Londo probably could have used a bit more snow everywhere. So I love that. I love how some of the enemies look, and I can't wait to see the challenge. Just big thanks for tuning into this video. I know we're hitting the 35-minute mark here, so thank you so much for watching this entire video if you stuck around for it. If you're feeling generous, don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below, and there's a little box right by my name that says subscribe. If you wouldn't mind hitting that, I'd really appreciate it. It helped me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll try to do some more of these ranking videos if I can for other games, or maybe I'll give more opinions of games that I have in my arsenal. You let me know what you want me to do in the comments, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It's been me, Gamma153, and I will talk to you all later. Peace out.